G'day everyone. So in this video, I'm going to make some progress on the example essay I was doing. I've only got about 25 minutes before I have to go and do something else. But I figured if I've got this small window of time, I'll make some progress in it. Someone, one of the viewers has recently made a comment about how much coffee I drink and recommended that I should start using moisturizer. So thanks for the hot tip. And I looked at a little moisturizer bottle today, and I realized they don't have an expiry date on them. So yeah, if people could tell me whether moisturizer expires or not, I Google searched it and it said about 3 years before it starts to smell weird. And I got some out of the tube and smelled it, and it didn't smell good. So I was like, oh, I'm not going to use that. So yeah, no baby bottom faced Billy today. But yeah, thanks for the hot tip. I don't know, coffee made you look older. Good to know. All right, so where were we in the last video? Yeah, we were doing the essay template. So I deliberately did not script any of this or anything like that, because the whole point of this video and the one before it is that I'm writing an essay from scratch. So it I need to simulate sort of the difficulty in making progress and finding a difficult where to begin and crafting an argument, building paragraphs and things like that. So I'm trying to build all that into this essay, and as you into this video, sorry. And if you recall from last video, basically I speak in scenario, so that means I'm taking on the demeanor of a student who's not quite sure how their whole essay is going to go, and they're figuring out how it's going to go as they are, they're figuring it out along the way. So that's in scenario, and out of scenario is like me, actual Billy, helping you get better at writing philosophical essays. Anyways, let me share a screen. Trying really hard not to sneeze. I just dusted, and yeah. So okay, so I'm going to share the screen, and I think this is where we were. Yeah, so yeah, this is the essay template. So we were constructing the essay template, and what we had done body paragraph 1. So we'd come up with a topic sentence, we'd gone off and we'd thought about it, we'd come up with a topic sentence, and then we're like, okay, so why do I hold that topic sentence? Why do I believe that proposition? It must be because I have some evidence, some reasons for thinking it. Okay, some of that will have come from your own thinking, and some of that will have come from the research that you read. Okay, so here's our topic sentence there in our essay template. And we put in some of the reasons we had for arriving at this topic sentence. It's really hard not to sneeze. It's like I'm right at the edge of sneezing, but the sneeze just won't do its thing. I just want to sneeze and get it out of the way. Yeah, it's not happening. Anyways, okay, so we put the evidence in there, and it's every numbered bullet point captures like the source that it came from and the page number and everything like that. And remember, that's all in like a research folder that captures all of my sources, and there's an overall master document for all the sources, and then this is saved in a writing folder. Okay. Okay, then we went on to paragraph 2, and it was rinse and repeat. Okay, so we just came up with our second topic sentence. We were like, why would I think that? I must have evidence for it. I must have had reasons. And we consulted our research, we consulted our brains, and put that research in there. Okay, then there was a topic sentence for the third one, and I think that's about where we got up to. And I wrote this topic sentence quite terribly. Terrible for a finished essay. It's just terrible language in general. It's not very formal. Uh, it doesn't sound very professional, but I think the sneeze is coming. Come on. Maybe if I don't think about it, it'll happen. Um, but the thing is, I keep emphasizing that your first draft is always going to be garbage. So don't try to fight that fact. Okay. Just go with it and accept it, because what is much easier to do is just to write like a garbage first draft and then keep polishing it. So we don't actually have a draft yet, but you're going to be pretty surprised to see that like most of the hard work of not making the essay template or even making an essay draft, most of the hard work of writing the essay is done. Proof reading is an editing, like from draft to draft, is the easiest part. Once you know what qualities detract from an essay and what qualities improve an essay, you can think of this thing as like a shiny marble wall or something, and it's got like dirt or mud splatter on it. Once you know what mud looks like, it's pretty easy to just come along with a cloth and start wiping mud off to reveal the nice, beautiful, polished marble underneath. Okay, so this here, what we're doing here is kind of like building that marble wall, and we've done most of it. Okay, so all we need to do is do exactly what we've done in these other two paragraphs. Do that for body paragraph 3, do that for the objection paragraph. Again, you should note that this is just a template. You should never be a slave to a template. Okay, this is just to guide us, right? So we might have more than 4 paragraphs. We might get rid of a paragraph. Okay, we'll see. So anyways, body paragraph 3 was the topic sentence there. That was economic sanctions really have to be costly enough on world leaders. I don't really care too much about editing here because, it's just the template. It's not even a draft yet, but a draft is going to fall out quickly. Costly enough on world leaders and their economies, because then not reducing your greenhouse gas emissions becomes the expensive thing rather than the cheap thing. We want to invert the balance of cost. Yeah, so we want to make polluting the environment more expensive than not polluting the environment. And that's what we are arguing. Yeah, because the appeal to just keep releasing carbon emissions is because it's cheaper. And yeah, I've explained that in the last video. So we want to make it the option that isn't cheap. We want to make it the expensive option. Okay, so evidence. What would be my evidence for that? So I'm just going to go over into my evidence folder. So I'll stop sharing the Word doc and I'll start sharing the evidence folder. Okay, so right now I'm in the writing folder. Okay, so we get out of that, go into research. Okay, and I'm going to just look back at my essay template. Where is that? My essay template, that's going to jog my memory as to what source it may have been. So economic sanctions really have to be costly enough on world leaders, economies, because not reducing your greenhouse gases is the costly thing. All right, so what I do is I cast my mind back to where that might have been. Okay, so I did the research. I have a good idea of what authors were arguing what, and I need to think to myself, which one among my sources may have been the one that said that. Okay, so so I'm scrolling through my sources right now, and I think that may have been Gooden. I think that would have been Gooden. Or maybe Harden. So actually, I should open them all so you can see. Open source 1, source 2, source 3, okay, so I'm not sure what you see right now, but I'm going to stop sharing so you can see my files. Okay, so here's like, the research folder where all the files are. Okay, now I'm going to, what am I going to do? Show you the sources, and I'm going to scroll through them and see where the evidence was for that topic sentence in body paragraph 3 or 4, whichever it was. Sorry, just playing around with Zoom Tech. Which screen do I want to share? Okay, so there was source 1. All right, so there was mutually agreed upon coercion. That sounds like what our evidence would have been. Okay. Look at this point here. All right. Responsible behavior, in fact, temperance can be produced by coercion. So remember the economic sanctions that we were talking about are a form of mutual coercion. Taxing is good for this. Take Harden's example. We don't have to forbid citizens. Okay, so Harden was talking about in some countries, in order to stop people from parking, for too long, in places that they shouldn't park. You don't make it like illegal, you just make it expensive, right? If you make up a rule that you can't do it, then people might just break the rule. Like you can't sort of expect people to do it out of their good heart. This isn't just deterrence. This is more than deterrence. It's deterrence would be like making something against the rules, but then like backing it by some kind of punishment. What Harden is talking about is not making something against the rules at all, just making it too expensive. Okay, so we don't have to forbid citizens to park for too long. Like we just have to make it too expensive for them to park too long. And what we offer them, or the citizen that wants to park too long and inconvenience other people, is not just complete prohibition of the like the liberty to do that, just biased options. Okay, so it's inverting the cost benefit analysis. Okay, so yeah, I think this would be good. We've also got this point down here about when we mutually agreed to coerce people not to rob banks, we got more freedom, not less. So just going back to the essay template, let's read the topic sentence again to make sure like the evidence we're looking at is actually relevant to our topic sentence. So our topic sentence, I'll stop sharing. That was almost a sneeze. Almost got there. Okay, so the topic sentence is in the essay template. All right. So economic sanctions really have to be costly enough on world leaders and their economies, because not reducing your greenhouse gas emissions becomes the expensive thing rather than the cheap thing. And we want to invert the balance of cost. Okay. Of course, you would say this properly. Okay. In an essay. But let's go back and look at our evidence and make sure it's relevant. Share the screen. Source 1. Okay. So this point doesn't sound all that too relevant. Okay. What Hardin recommends instead, what seems more relevant instead is this prohibition point, this point about not prohibiting some behavior but making it too costly. So I'm going to take that evidence and then I'm going to plonk it into my essay template, which is slowly turning into the outline of the first draft. Okay. So here we are. Evidence. That was our first point of evidence. Okay. Because let's suppose let's suppose if you take the car parking spaces example. Okay. If the fine that you would receive for parking for too long is cheaper than catching a bus, okay, then you don't actually have to fine anyone. People are going to catch the bus instead, right? Maybe. Well, let's say, yeah, it's pretty much the same thing. But imagine like the bus ticket is more expensive than what you would get, what fine you would get for parking, say next to the shopping mall or something. Then people are still going to drive. They're still going to park over time, and they're going to be happy to pay the fine because if they didn't drive, they would have taken a bus and they would have paid more money anyways. So you've got to make the fine more expensive than whatever other means they would pursue of getting to the shopping mall and staying there long enough to do whatever they wanted to do before leaving and going home. Okay, so I think everyone gets what I'm talking about there. Yeah, this is going to be evidence for paragraph 3. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to go down and we're going to do the objection paragraph. Okay, so if we get down to the objection paragraph, okay, so I didn't actually explain some of what I said I was going to explain in not the last video, the one before that. It may have been the last video, but I said something about how to pick an objection, right? And which objection you pick, right? Okay. So there's two things that I want to bring up. The first is about how to pick an objection, and the second point is just to reiterate a point I've made earlier in one of the other videos. But you may be tempted to choose a weak objection, okay, to your argument, okay? Because then you might think that it makes your argument look strong because, the objection that gets raised against it is like pretty weak, and it looks, metaphorically speaking, as if the quality of your argument towers over the quality of this objection, and therefore your argument must be such a good one. That's not how it works, and your readers will see through that. What you do is you pick the strongest, most dangerous and threatening objection to your argument that you can think of, okay? And the reason for this is that there's many reasons for this, but one is that if you pick an objection that is weak, okay? Let's say there's like several objections. There's always going to be objections that can be raised against your argument, okay? Let's say there's a list of several objections, and the ones at the top they're listed in ascending order. Sorry, like descending order from strongest to weakest. So the strongest arguments are at the objections or counter arguments to your argument are at the top of the list, and as they go down, the objections get weaker. Okay. If you address the one at the top, okay, then people are more confident. Readers are more confident that since you've been able to address what seems to be the strongest one, then you could address all the others. Okay, your argument had the quality had enough quality to address the strongest objection to your argument. So we would expect that it would have the please sneeze that it would have the strength or the quality to address the weaker ones. Okay, so if you follow boxing, or you don't have to, it's just an analogy to understand where I'm going. So imagine like you are the world champion boxer, and there are all these other boxers in your division. Okay, and you're the champ. To stay the champ and to keep your title, you have to fight the challenges. Okay, and who do the people, the boxing fans, want to see you fight? They want to see you fight the number one contender. Okay, the one that most boxing analysts think have the best chances, the best hopes of wresting that world championship title from you and becoming the champion themselves. The one that has been climbing the ranks by defeating all the other boxers in the division that you defeated. Okay, so everyone wants to see you fight, the number one contender. Okay, if you fought like the number 5th ranked contender in the division, then people are going to think you were dodging the number one contender. It will cast doubt on whether or not you have the ability to fight the number 1 contender, the number 2 contender, 3 contender, and 4 contender. Okay. Yes. So one of the jobs I had when I was serving in the military. So my first 4 years was spent just like as a pretty regular frontline soldier. Infantry is the word for it. The second half of my career was like a bit of a tactical planning role. Okay, and one of my jobs was that a commander would make a plan, okay, like a battle plan, in a headquarters, and the commander would give that plan to myself. This is one of the responsibilities in my job. This didn't define my whole job, but this is one of the things I would do. The commander would give that plan to myself and a small team of others, and we would basically pretend that we were people fighting against the commander and trying to defeat his plan. So we were like putting the devil's advocate hat on, right? And then what we would do is we would tell the commander how we would try to defeat his plan if we actually had to fight him, and he would amend his plan, or he would come up with contingency plans in case the enemy reacted that way or something like that. And this process just kept going on and never stopped until the plan actually had to get executed. Okay. Imagine if during that process I didn't do my best to defeat the commander's plan. Okay, I would be failing in my duty to him. All right, I'd be failing in my obligation, and I'd be letting a lot of people down if I did that. So I needed to come at his plans with my absolute utmost. I had to be at my best, apply the highest degree of tactical acumen that I could muster to find weaknesses in my commander's plan, his position, and things like that. It wasn't just me that did this. There's a small group of us that would do this. We were a little bit of a team. Well, not a little bit. We were a team. We were a good team. Yeah. So I hope that drives home the point as to, why you shouldn't pick a weak objection. It would be like me picking a weak way to combat my commander's plan. Or it would be like being a world champion boxer and not taking on the best. So then you're not really the undisputed champion. People think you're just the champion because you're dodging the people who could really take the championship belt away from you. Okay, so you pick the strongest argument. Now, this is the second point. you have to dismiss that argument. You have to dismiss that argument before you go on and conclude. So I can't just raise the objection here where I'm highlighting. So I can't just like raise the objection, write a paragraph about the objection, and not vanquish it. Okay, I need to vanquish the objection. Just like I can't tell the commander how I would react and combat react to his plan and combat it without the commander going off and considering how he would react to the reaction. What contingency plan what contingency plan or actions he would take in that scenario. Okay, so you have to dismiss the objection because you can think of this objection paragraph as this big obstacle that stands in your way. You're playing a video game, right? And you know that you're getting through the levels, all right? And then this is like the final boss before you finish the game and see how the story ends, and you know, learn whether the hero of the story or the heroine of the story actually gets to like kiss the princess or prince at the end, right? Okay, all of the prince and princess kissing is going to happen down here in the conclusion. That's the happy ending, right? After you've beaten the final boss. If you don't beat the final boss, which is the objection paragraph, you don't deserve to see the happy ending. You haven't done your job right. You haven't beaten the levels. All right, you got to beat the boss. Okay, so this is like playing Super Mario Kart. Oh no, not Super Mario Kart, like just Super Mario or versus Donkey Kong. It's like playing Donkey Kong on Super Nintendo, all right? And Donkey Kong's just sitting up there chucking barrels at you. He's chucking barrels down at you, right? And you got to dodge these barrels. And this objection paragraph is the biggest barrel, right? Right before you get to the end, vanquish Donkey Kong and rescue Princess Peach, okay? Right. I think I've made myself clear. I've probably got about 5 more minutes before I have to wrap it up. So I might sit around and I might think about an objection. Okay, well, what would the objection be? What's something in my argument that someone might point out and say, no, this is why everything you're suggesting can't work. So I go in scenario now, and I'm going to walk down to my backyard and think and apply the dimensionless, massless dot up here that is where all of the all of the thinking takes place. And brain, that's the word. See, zero mass, dimensionless. Most people would use that word. Okay, so I use my brain. I go off, I pace and I think around, and this could take a while, or this could happen pretty snappy. And I think, okay, now I'm in scenario. If I wanted to destroy this argument, you know, if I wasn't writing this essay and it was like a high school debating tournament or something like that, and someone, you know, made this argument and I had to respond, how would I do it? Well, I'm writing a political philosophy. This person's making an argument in political philosophy and, you know, appealing to ethics. You know, saying that it's morally justified to use these economic sanctions, which are a form of mutual coercion to coerce other states into reducing their carbon emissions. And, you know, one objection you might raise to this is that it's morally unjustifiable, it's morally unjust to, upon failing to convince someone that they should take certain actions with moral reasoning alone, when your moral reasoning fails, to take matters into your own hands and be coercive. You know, imagine that you don't like someone else's behavior, right? And let's say their behavior is not illegal, but it's very rude or something like that. You might make a moral argument to them as to why they should refrain from doing that behavior. Or maybe it's something that you wish they would do. You think they morally should do it, but they won't do it. Okay. You might then go and take coercive behavior. You might get a gun, a loaded handgun, and point it at them and say, it's your turn to take out the trash this morning. I've been taking it out every morning for the last couple of weeks. So, you know, take the trash out or I'll shoot you. Okay, that's an extreme example, but you know, just to drive the point home, I like to use extreme analogies sometimes because they actually make things simpler and they're more vivid. They really capture what's going on in our thinking. You know, is that morally justifiable? It doesn't sound like it. It doesn't sound that it's okay to coerce people when you can't convince them how to act by moral argument alone. So some world leaders might raise that issue. Okay, so here's my topic sentence. Some world leaders may argue that it's wrong to use coercion against other states. And I'm gonna like flesh that, you know, because that's incomplete. You know, a topic sentence needs ABC because X, Y, Z. I haven't put the because part in there, but I'm out of time, so I'm going to stop filming now, and hopefully I sneeze, and I'm going to come back later because I've also realized that the shorter I make these videos, the quicker the file converts, and then the quicker the upload is to YouTube. Okay, so we almost got the topic sentence out for the objection paragraph, and I'm going to come back tonight after I've fulfilled other obligations and finish this. I'd like to finish like the whole of this essay tonight. Okay? All right. Thanks for watching. Billy loves all of you. And thanks for the moisturizing advice and all that. Like coffee makes you look older. Jeez, I didn't know. And I'm not going to stop. Until I start looking like a zombie. All right. All right. Thank you all.